Hey YouTube, Repo Man 64. Happy New Year. Today is the new year on the Enoch timeline. And I'm going to take you through the timeline and show that to you again. We have so many new subscribers, and I want to show you why today is the new year and why from today you count 14 days and you arrive at Jesus on the cross and all of the events leading up to that point. The last Sabbath was March the 16th. This sets up the Sabbath for the following year. The moon is actually in alignment every 19 years. It is not in alignment this year, so the moon should not be used to start the year. Any more than your birthday or Christmas Day or any day that we look at would change every year based on wanting it to land on a specific day. The Gregorian days that we call Monday through Saturday, Sunday through Saturday, are just that. They're just days. You cannot assign a numeral to it because it changes every year. It might be Christmas Day on a Thursday one year and a Christmas Day on a Friday another year, so it changes. This same problem exists for obeying the Sabbath. You cannot obey the Sabbath if you don't know when to start. It doesn't matter what pagan names we've assigned to a day, because again, it changes every single year. What matters is, what day is that? And I believe that's the day that Lazarus died. I believe in Exodus 12, when God said, "This now is the head of your year," that was March the 17th. Lazarus died on March the 16th. This is the same time Jesus said, "Are there not 12 hours in a day?" This does not happen on the equinox. It does not happen on the first sliver of the moon after the equinox. It does not happen in Aries. It doesn't happen on any of these other times. The only time that actually applies and works the timeline throughout the year is by starting the year on March the 16th. And every 19 years, the moon will actually start the year properly. It will be the first sliver of the moon after the equinox. It'll show you that that's actually, it said, the Enoch says it'll be a dark moon, and that happens every 19 years. So I want to take you through this. Again, I'm not a prophet. I'm not a preacher or a teacher. I simply figured out a timeline. This is how I started the YouTube back when I had 500 subscribers. It was and I just discovered this. My wife pointed it out the other day when I was telling her about this. She doesn't know much about the timeline, but she is interested and curious. So I was telling her, and I said, March the 20th is the day Lazarus resurrected. Now, this is my testimony. This is not me thinking I'm any kind of special in any kind of way. But this is how it all started. It all started when I almost died. I was born with a birth defect. My intestines were upside down. When you're in the womb, your intestines are outside of your stomach, and they turn 240 degrees. Mine did not. Mine were upside down. And I only tell you this, again, it's my testimony to show you how I got here. I'm not special. I'm not trying to say I'm special in any kind of way. I just want to show you why I came to this point. So, the day Lazarus got sick, and I'm not Lazarus, but the day Lazarus got sick, the day that Mary and Martha sent the messenger to Jesus, the day the messengers left was March the 14th. This is the day I got sick. On March the 16th, they reach Jesus, and Jesus waits for 2 days. There's been a lot of theories as to why he waited those 2 days, but I tell you it's because Rosh Hashanah is not in September. Exodus 12 moved it to March, and when it was moved to March, that is a festival that you have to sit for 2 days. You can't travel during those 2 days. On March the 16th, he finds out that Lazarus is sick. He admits that Lazarus has died. He says, "Are there not 12 hours in the day?" This at nightfall becomes March the 17th, March the 18th. Now he can move. The 19th and the 20th, he walks for those 2 days to Lazarus. And when he gets there, he resurrects Lazarus. This is the time we're in right now. Now, my wife said, this is the same exact time. I just discovered this a week or so ago. I brought it into my Discord and was telling everybody in there about it, and into a group chat that I'm in, and I said, it's strange. And again, this is 5 years ago now. Exactly 5 years ago. Right now, 5 years ago, on this day, I was in a hospital bed. My surgery was over. Because the surgery, they had to cut me from my sternum all the way down. They had to remove, which is kind of graphic, sorry, but they had to remove all my intestines. They had to remove 2 foot of intestine because of the problem that came. When I came to, like knowing what was going on, it had been 4 days. When I woke up for the first time and was able to, I woke up, but I was on so much stuff I don't remember much. But when I was actually able to stand up was March 20th. This is the day Lazarus was resurrected. Again, I'm not trying to say I'm Lazarus. I just found out about this. My wife said it's kind of strange that you're giving those dates. Those are the dates you almost died, which was a very bad experience for my wife. Scared her to death. When I woke up, I was able to understand there were 7 doctors in the room. And these 7 doctors were standing at the foot of my bed. And they said that it is a miracle that you're alive. We filmed the surgery. And if you allow us to, and she said your face isn't in it, but if you allow us to use this film in schools around the world and colleges around the world showing about your condition, it's completely free. I didn't pay one dime for this surgery that I would imagine cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. Not one dime, because they used that video. My case was so rare that they said in the last 40 years, only 70 people reaching my age of 52 years old survived. Everyone died. All the others died. I don't know how many there were. They didn't tell me, but only 70 people in the last 40 years. Now, that's my testimony, and that's nothing special. But that's what put me, I was a businessman, ran a very busy business. I didn't have time. Of course, I believed in all this, and I'd always been watching, and I'd always been trying to figure out when this was going to happen. But this put me in the bed didn't put me in the bed. I couldn't go anywhere because of the intestinal issues that I had. I couldn't go anywhere or do anything for about 6 months. So I watched Rapture videos. And the thought or the question came to my mind while I was doing this is, everyone is starting the year somewhere. Everyone's starting the year somewhere different. The year's never started at the same time. And I prayed. I says, I want to know, Lord, what day is the head of the year? And then all of this fell into place. And then I finally realized after almost 5 years that this is exactly the same time my surgery came. And I thought, is that another confirmation? I don't know. But I'll take it if it is. So yes, I believe that March 16th is the last Sabbath, setting up the Sabbath for the following year. And I believe that the head of the year is St. Patrick's Day. I believe Jesus went to the cross, and April Fool's Day, he didn't die. He went to Hades to lead captivity captive, and 3 days later, on April the 3rd, he rose. I do think, and I gave last year's timeline, I gave all 5 calendars airtime to look at to see if they made any sense. But the only calendar that does make sense and that I believe God moved to make sense, and remember the Gregorian, we are in the year 2023, we have been since January 1st. The Gregorian calendar counts from Jesus, his birth until now. And they made a mistake by a few years. There's several people that think it was 6 BC because I forget who was trying to kill him, and he died in 4 BC, so Jesus must have been here in 6 or 5 BC, which I don't work on those types of calendars from that distance back. I work on an annual. one year timeline where I can apply all of the feast days and all of the things to it. And when I do that with this calendar, with this timeline, it lands on so many important dates that we view as on our Gregorian calendar. So why is January 1st our head of the year? It doesn't even make sense. It has nothing to do with the solstice. It has nothing to do with springtime. There's literally no sense in it, except I believe God moved Gregorian calendar. I believe God moved him to put that start date. It is 2.5 months. It is 75 days early before an actual head of the year. And when he did that, when God did that, when he moved Gregorian or Gregory to put that in, we have March 17th, the Green Day, St. Patrick's Day as the head of the year. We have Jesus on the cross, and April Fool's Day, he didn't die. They made a mistake. They thought they were killing him, but they actually saved all of us, because through his blood we were all saved. 9/11, when they blew up the towers. This is actually Pentecost, and this is actually the first day of creation when you use this timeline. October the 31st, Halloween at nightfall. The flood begins. You can't make that happen. If you just do simple math from March 17th and go forward, these things land. Mary conceives on Christmas Day. We've been celebrating that this whole time. Do you think God is going to allow us to celebrate the date Jesus came into this world, not the date he was born? We call that the date he was born, but isn't it a miracle how the date he was conceived is December the 25th? The date Mary goes and sees Elizabeth, her cousin, and John leaps in the womb, that's New Year's Day. That's New Year's Day. February 14th, Valentine's Day, is Adar 1. So when you work out the timeline like this, and it starts landing on important days, because it's a simple count. Nisan has 30 days, Iyar has 30 days, Sivan has 31. If you apply Nisan 1 to March 17th, and you use these dates that are found in Enoch, that there are 30 days in every single month, but there is one day added for each gate. And that's why there are 364 days. And this is actually true. It's called a sidereal day, 364. So when you apply this, this is the calendar we come up with. So here I am, sick in the bed. I can't move. So all I'm doing is pouring over everything I can. I'm slowed down now. Business is beginning to fail. It had failed. It has failed. I named my YouTube channel the way I did in the event, pre-adventure, that somebody found out what I did for a living and decided to own the name, because that's what I did. I was a repossessor. I owned a repossession business, and we repossessed hundreds of units each month. And the business failed. And God did not want me in that business. And I was out. Any more than Matthew being a tax collector, Jesus still called it. That same thing. The same way I view this. And so that's what I did. And the business is gone. And now I work for somebody. Now, I'm not going to say who. Y'all might go there and buy a bunch of stuff and make me look good, and I can't have that. Just kidding. So I start my YouTube channel after a while, and before that I join a very large Discord, and I'm in there, and I'm studying, and I say, don't you know, I believe the head of the year is March 17th. Oh, you're crazy. There's nothing there. I said, it's the equinox. It's the day of equal parts. And I hadn't quite built the timeline yet. It was a few years ago. And I kind of got drummed out of that Discord. So I started my own. And I'll put the link to the Discord at the bottom. There's a bunch of wonderful people in there. They're all actually wonderful. Discord does not happen in my Discord. Everybody respects the rooms. There are certain rooms that not everybody believes in, and certain rooms that everybody flocks to. And we talk in there, and we work stuff out. And there's so many different gifts that I watch every single day that are given to watchers, the people who are trying to figure this out, that I can't even comprehend. Some of the things that they have found and come up with, I'm just floored by it. So it's an awesome place to go to fellowship. They have phone conversations all the time where they talk about things. I It's called Repo Man 64, but I don't run it. There's several groups. There's a group of people that are awesome, and they run it, and they keep it straight, and everybody respects everybody, and I really love the Discord, and I stop in, say a few crazy things, and then I pop back out. And a lot of times they're on the phone. I can't get to it because I have a full-time job now. I don't have the time I used to. That's my testimony. That's what started all of this. And that's why, and again, I didn't know I knew the surgery was in 2018. I didn't know that it actually almost mirrored, when Lazarus. I went down on the 14th. Lazarus went down on the 14th. Lazarus died. I didn't die. I didn't even have an out-of-body experience. I just woke up, and there were doctors all around me calling me a miracle. And then the first picture I have, and I don't want to show it to you because there's staples all the way. It's something else. That's why you'll see me wearing these soft kind of shirts, because it actually bothers the scar that I have. And my wife still loves me, which is weird, but she does. So I'll have a six-pack instead when I get to heaven, so I'm kind of looking forward to that. But anyway, it mirrored, and I thought, okay, should I even talk about that? Because I don't want to put myself in any kind of limelight, but I just thought it was strange that I went down on the 14th, and so did Lazarus. And by the time Lazarus is raised, I'm taking a picture of myself with a PICC line, those PICC lines that go into your heart and feed you medicine directly to your heart. And it was, I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. That was, part of me, and I'm glad I'm here, but part of me at the time wished I had just died, because it was rough. It was so painful. It was so painful. I was like hitting the morphine button nonstop, and the lady's like, that thing only works every 15 minutes. I'm like, I don't even have a concept of time. I'll just keep hitting it in case I miss it by 15 seconds. And she's like, well, it buzzes us out here. Please stop hitting the button. I'm like, I don't know what 15 minutes is. I just know I'm in pain. So anyway, got through it. Here I am. A lot of things have straightened out. I'm okay now. I can actually work. I can actually go out of the house and do things. So enough of me, because I don't like talking about me. But I found that it was a small confirmation that God gave me. And again, I found this out over 2 years ago and didn't even realize that the time matched. So let's go into the pictures and talk about that real quick. Let's see here. Where am I at? Right here. Okay. That happened again. Whoops. I don't even know what just happened. That happened again. Significance of this, at this point, I don't know, but it does keep happening to so many people, and it cannot be ignored. All of the dates that I thought associated with this have passed, and it must mean... Now, I want to say something. I'm not calling rapture dates. You know that. I'm not calling rapture dates. I'm calling high watch days. And again, this event could occur at any moment. It could happen before I think it happens. It could happen after I think it might happen. I thought it might happen on the 16th. I think it might happen today. Today's the head of the year. But it doesn't require me knowing anything. It doesn't require any of us knowing anything. What the Bible requires and what it says is that we are to watch. And watching is what we're doing. When we look at the timeline, we're watching. We're seeing how things line up. And we say, well, this might be important or that might be important. And we're watching. And there's a lot of wonderful YouTube people. Dr. Barry is incredible. He's found all the feast days. I didn't even know all those. I didn't know anything about the feast days until Dr. Barry. He's fantastic, and everybody should be subscribed to him. Ricardo Garcia does a lot of math, and Dr. Barry has too, to his credit. And there's another one that something by design. Supernatural by Design. Jarrett over there he's done an amazing job, and the Bible architecture. He made a video talking about the Bible architecture. That guy also are working on what year we're in, and I think the consensus currently is that today is the year 5783, and if you add those 210 lost years, you come to 5993. We're leaving a perfect 7 years. But remember, God turned time back 6 months. I'm not trying to say we're leaving in 6 months. That's not what I'm saying. But he did turn time back. So he has time. He always did. But he has time on his side. He can do this at any moment. Did you know that Adam and Eve sinned on Halloween Day? But they didn't leave the garden. And the moon and the sun were in perfect sync back then. So not Bible, I think it's the book of Jubilees records that in the second month and the 17th day of the 8th year, they were in there for 7 years. A Jubilee begins when they're in there. In the 8th year, in the second month and the 17th day, they fell in sin. They were in that garden a perfect 7 years. And I believe the second Jubilee began at the end of those 7 years. And there are 2 Jubilees running simultaneously through time. And that's why we can call, if you go from creation, we can call the time right now, that we're in right now, 6,000. And we can call the time after the tribulation, 7 years from now, also year 6,000. Because again, God has time on his side. The flood happens, and then the moon and everything is out of whack. Nothing's the same now. We can't use the moon to start our year. So let me go back into the pictures, and we're going to look at it and see where we think this rapture event might occur. This is from Icar Symphony. She sent this to me in an email, and she's working on this timeline. I love her videos. She, again, mathematically inclined, and she notices, and I noticed, that there are exactly 17 days in between February the 11th. What was February the 11th again? That was when she noticed that the sign of the Son of Man appeared in heaven, where all the planets lined up as a cross. 17 days later, on February the 28th at nightfall, March the 1st, is Purim. It is Purim. And we know that this is Purim because Jupiter and Venus conjuncted, just like it did back in the day when when there was a notification to the wise men that, hey, your Savior is here or on his way. I believe it was that he's here, and go see him. If I recall, when they got to Jesus, he was had already been born and was not a toddler. He was, it was a toddler. He was 2. So then 17 days later, we land again on March the 17th. That is today. Today's Rosh Hashanah. It's the new year. On the Enoch calendar, today is the day that Jesus said, yesterday was, but today is the day that God said in Exodus 12 to Moses, now, today will be the head of your year. That's today. Today is the head of the year. 17 days from today's date, Jesus rises. Exactly, 17 days from today's date, Jesus rises, and he rises on April the 3rd. I found this on, I think it was YouTube, perhaps. I don't recall. It's The Lord is My Shepherd. I'm not aware if they have it. There are so many groups. We have our group, 13,000, almost 14,000 subscribers, and we have our Discord, and we talk in there, and we're like a group, but there are these groups just like this that exist all over the world, not just here, all over the world. There are other groups just like this on the other side of the world. I bet you there's groups just like this in China, in Russia, in Ukraine, and everywhere around the world there are these groups. And while we are all talking about the same message, that he's coming back, and we know he is. While we're all talking about this, we're not, and I find them all the time. I like I said, I subscribe to over 200 channels. I hope they survive through what's about to take place, what's about to transpire, in order to help the saints through their part of their tribulation. That's why I do this. But there's these pockets of believers all around the world. It's not just us; they're everywhere. And every now and again, I find one of these pockets as I'm searching, and I jump in there, and they're talking about the same stuff we are. It's awesome, So while we have our little group here, there are these other groups all around the world. And again, there's a lot of subscribers here from around the world, which is amazing to me. But they'll tell you, they'll probably make a comment, they'll tell you that they have a group also over there where they discuss all of these things and trying to figure out when this is going to happen. And I find that just staggering, mind-blowing. It's amazing. So, all right. And again, here's the Lord is my shepherd, right? And I love this comment, and that's why I took a screenshot of it. Noah did not stop building the ark to explain himself to every doubter and hater. Keep building and let the rain do the talking. We don't have to go to war with anybody who doesn't believe or understand the way we are and what we're watching for and why we're not setting dates. We're looking at high watch days. And again, it could happen at any moment. It doesn't have to happen when I say, let's look at when Lazarus resurrected. The day the dead in Christ must rise first. It could happen at any point. It doesn't have to happen whenever we think it will. But it's going to happen so fast, and it's going to happen on God's time, not ours. So we don't know until that angel visits the foot of my bed and says, guess what? 3 days from now, this is going to happen. Until that day happens, we're just going to continue to try to watch and try to figure this out. And don't let it get us down. Keep us excited, looking on as to when this is going to happen. And that's what we'll do. We're just going to let the rapture do the talking. I wanted to show you this. Listen to this. So I don't do that predictive stuff very often in the movies at all, but that's from a movie or from a series called The Last of Us. And what he says there is on Thursday, people got sick. By Friday, they started biting. By Monday, everyone was gone. September the 26th, 2023. Now that is 20 years ago. And if you back those 6 months up, just like God said for the head of year, September 26th, back that up, you land squarely on the triumphant entry. Now, again, I don't do predictive programming very often, but that just jumped out at me. We were watching that program, The Last of Us, and that just jumped out at me, and I couldn't believe it. So I played it for you so you could hear it. But March 26th, triumphant entry. It's amazing to me that when you back those 6 months up, just like God said for Rosh Hashanah, back it up 6 months, the head of the year. Today is the head of your year. That was March 17th. That's today. And then that triumphant entry happened on March the 26th. So I thought that was pretty cool. I don't know if anybody else will work on that This is the day that Jesus was talking about when he admitted that Lazarus had died. This is March the 16th. This is the day of equal parts. March the 17th, it is past the day of equal parts. There are more than 12 hours in a day. This happens at some point on March the 16th. Yesterday is when Lazarus died. The dead in Christ rise first. If that's the event we're waiting for, then that will be on March the 20th. It says here, after 2 days will he revive us. In the third day he will raise us up, and we shall live in his sight. This is the rapture. After 2 days. I showed you this before. On Saturday, September the 23rd, 2017, we had the Revelation 12 sign. Exactly 2,000 days later is March the 16th, the day of equal parts. After 2 days, he will raise us up. And in the third day, after 2 days, he will revive us. And in the third day, he will raise us up. So we are in it right now. This is a post from Dr. Barry Awe. And again, Dr. Barry and so many of them have worked very hard. I don't know. I haven't worked out the years. I do know about the 210 lost years. Dr. Barry points it out up here on this. I would go to Dr. Barry Awe's YouTube and go to his community, and you can look at this. And he shows we're in the year up there at the top right. He points out that the negative 606, and since there's no 0 year, he's probably accurate about that. And I said 6007, but he says 6006 was creation. And here we are at 5993 with the 210 lost years. And he does a bunch of amazing math to get us to the year 2030, take away the 7 years for the tribulation, and we are in the year 2023. This rapture is going to happen, Dr. Barry believes, in this year 2023. And I think that the dead in Christ rise first, and my next high watch date is to look at is March 20th, but we'll get into that in a second. Isn't it predictive programming again? Again, I don't get it much into this, but when something jumps out at me and it's put right at the exact moment, your fire's first shot in green trade war against the Biden administration. Now, green again, today is St. Patrick's Day. It is the green day. Today is the day. The first day of the year today is Rosh Hashanah. Who is this? This is Ricardo Garcia. He just posted this on his YouTube. Go to Ricardo Garcia on his YouTube, and you can see his thing he posted in here. And he also believes that 2023 is the year of the rapture, that this is it. We are in it right now. Remember, I'll show you that in a moment, actually. Here's the timeline. This is where we are right now. Today, in the upper left, St. Patrick's Day, Moses' New Year. You find that in Exodus 12. Rosh Hashanah. It's Happy New Year's every single year on March the 17th. It is Nisan 1. From today, Lazarus has been dead 1 day. Jesus is sitting still at nightfall on March the 16th. He does not move until March the 18th because on Rosh Hashanah, you cannot travel. Mary and Martha will perform a ceremony. They are ceremonially unclean because they have touched a dead body. Mary and Martha have buried him on the 16th, the date Jesus admits he died, the date Jesus says, are there not 12 hours a day? This is also the date the 4 star of Algenub. You can see 3 stars of Algenub. This is where I got into trouble some time ago in that other Discord. I said there's a 4 star somewhere, and I found it, but I can't figure it out quite yet. And this is years ago, and I finally found it, and there it is. This is the date the 4 star of Algenub skirts along the horizon. And so Mary and Martha, after 3 days, perform a ceremony. He dies on the 16th. They've buried him, and on the 19th, they have to perform this ceremony. You can find this in the Bible. When you touch a dead body, you are unclean for 7 days, and you have to perform this ceremony on the third day. And on March the 23rd, they were clean. Lazarus was resurrected on March the 20th. That would be the next date I would be looking at. Well, I'm looking at any time now, literally any time now. We're in the thick of things here. March the 20th is 14 days from the head of the year. And then here we come up, from March the 17th, we come up to Jesus is on the cross. It's March the 30th or March the 31st. I'm trying to work that out, but April Fool's Day is the next day. Surprise, he's not dead. You actually fell right into what he actually wanted to happen, which was to die for the sins of the world. John 3:16, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever shall believe on him shall not die but have eternal life. I'm paraphrasing, but that's March the 16th, 3:16. Jesus on the cross on March the 31st, March 30th. The 31st starts at nightfall in Israel, and then you have April Fool's Day. So we have all these wonderful dates to look at. Jesus has a meal with Mary, Martha, and Lazarus. They cannot have this meal any time sooner because Mary and Martha are unclean. Jesus is a Jew. He cannot eat at their house while they are ceremonially unclean, and they are unclean until they finish the ceremony on the seventh day, and on the eighth day is when they have this meal. Is this the meal that we might have? Lazarus resurrects, dead in Christ resurrect on the 20th, and we're at this meal. The bride, I believe, is a separate event set apart from the 7 feasts. I believe that the bride escapes all these things. So we're in the middle of this, and I think this event could take place at any moment. We know that this meal happened 6 days before the cross. This is when the water subsided. From October the 31st, you count 150 days, and you will land on Nisan 14. March 30th, March 31st. You'll land perfectly on that date. The ark rested on Mount Ararat, and like Dr. Barry said, it reversed the curse, and that's the date Jesus rises on Nisan 17, which is April the 3rd. You count your days very specifically using this count down here. The Moses count, the Noah count was pre-flood, and that's why in the second month and the 17th day, which is now Halloween day that we know, for Noah, it was the 8th month. Yes, well, it was the second month for him, and because over here you see that's what we call the second month. God used our timeline for Moses, explaining for Noah. So let me go on to the next picture. Why do we do this? Why do we keep doing this? I mean, I just do it. I don't do it for any money or anything. I just do it. I try to bring all this information to you that one of you might accept the Lord and know that this event is real and it is going to happen very soon, and that you accept the gift, the free gift that Jesus has given. And this is Ezekiel as Israel's watchman. Again, the word of the Lord came on. This is Ezekiel 33. Again, the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, speak to the children of thy people, and say unto them, when I bring the sword upon the land, if the people of the land take a man of their coast, and set him for their watchman, if when he seeth the sword come upon the land, he blow the trumpet, and warn the people, and whosoever heareth the sound of the trumpet, and taketh not the warning, if the sword come and take him. You can see here that the trumpet could be blown, but it says if. It says if it happens. So we've been blowing this horn for a long time, and it has not happened, but we're going to continue to do so because, that's what a watchman does. Hey, look at this. Hey, look at that. We are ordered to do this. We're ordered to watch. We are ordered to warn. But if the sword come, it doesn't say when the sword comes. It says if the sword come, and it says that because we just don't know yet. We're in the season. A lot of wonderful watchmen that I have, watchwomen that I have named on here, are looking at 2023, saying it has to be 2023. So it could, and there's only 365 days in 2023, and we've already passed 75 of them. So we have 190 days left, and St. Patrick's Day being the head of the year for the pre-flood timeline. So here we are. Then whosoever heareth the sound of the trumpet and taketh not warning, if the sword come and take him away, his blood shall be upon his own head. He heard the sound of the trumpet and took not warning, his blood shall be upon him, on himself. But he that taketh warning shall deliver his soul. But if the watchman see the sword come and blow not the trumpet, if I don't tell you what I have discovered in all of these dates, and I don't warn you about this, that's why I do this. That's the only reason I do this. I don't do this for any other reason than to warn you that, hey, I don't know for sure, but hey, today's St. Patrick's Day. It's the head of the year. I'm warning you that this might be it. And so are all the other wonderful watchers and watchwomen. They're trying to figure this out. And everybody is not, I might be wrong about the head of the year, but I don't see how, personally, but others see their head of the year somewhere else, and they might be right, but they're still warning that, hey, and they're not trying, it's not a confusing thing, it's a watching thing. Just keep watching. Don't stop watching. This could happen at any moment. This is the part I wanted to show you. This is in the book of Jubilees. You can find this in the book of Jubilees. And it gives the time frame of when these events happen. It gives time frames for the events that led to the fall of man by stating that the serpent convinced Eve to eat the fruit on the 17th day of the second month in the 8th year. They spent a full 7 years in the garden, and in the 8th year, on the second month and 17th day, they sinned. How long after they sinned were they removed from the garden? Remember, God makes a comment to himself, says we need to remove Adam and Eve from the garden lest they eat of the tree of life and live forever. Because what did he say? Their bodies were created perfectly. Ours are broken down and birth defects and all kinds of problems we have going on now. We are not evolving. We are de-evolving. Our bodies are nowhere near the condition of what Adam's body was in. He lived to be, I forget how long it was. It was nearly 1,000 years, 900 something years Adam lived. So we just don't see that now. We can't. Our bodies are just broken and breaking down nonstop. A lot of us are in a lot of pain, and we're dreaming about this day when we get a brand new body, and we're watching for that day. Are we disappointed when those days pass? Of course we are. Are we going to stop watching and believe that it's all a lie? That's just silly. That's absolutely silly. No, absolutely not. We're going to keep watching. So, it also states that they were removed from the garden on the new moon. Remember, the moon was in sync back before the flood. On the new moon of the 4th month. I don't know when the new moon was on the 4th month. I am going to guess that it was in sync, so it would have been the 1st day of the 4th month. And what is the 1st day of the 4th month? If Halloween was the 2nd month and 17th day, we have Heshvan Kislev, and we would have Tevet 1, which would be our December 15th now, and that would be when Hanukkah ends. Am I right about that, Tevet? Yes, Tevet is the 4th month. And that would be the last day of Hanukkah, which falls perfectly on the Enoch timeline. Tevet 1 would be December the 15th. 10 days later is when Mary would have conceived. And that's it. That's all I have. That's all I have. And I just wanted to bring you this note of encouragement that through all of our trials and tribulations, we know this event's going to take place, and we're all watching, and we're all trying to figure it out. And at the end of the day, Amos 3:7 will be fulfilled. Revelation 3:3 will be fulfilled. And God is going to tell us. He's not going to tell me to tell you. It's going to come It's going to be so bold, we're going to know it. And how long before, I don't know. Maybe 5 minutes before. Maybe it's just a trumpet blast that goes off, and we're like, we'll know. We'll know. Everyone else will be scared. It'll be exactly like when God spoke to Moses at Mount Sinai, and the people told Moses, tell God to stop talking to us because it breaks our ears. We can't hear him. Why could Moses hear him without breaking his ears or scaring him? And the people couldn't. It's because Moses was elect. He could hear it. He could hear it, meaning that he could take it, and the others could not. And that's why they said, please tell. And that's why when you read in Revelation that they will hide, they've already made them these massive bunkers with food and everything. They're ready to go. All of our hard work, they took all of our hard work, our money and our hard work, and built themselves a place to be protected. But we don't care. Take our money. Go hide. They will cry to the mountain to fall on them. They will cry to the mountain to protect them because they do not want to hear the voice of God. When that trumpet goes off, they are going to be, some of them are going to have heart attacks. As the Bible records that they will have so much fear that they'll fall over dead, scared to death. We won't. We're looking forward to that. I don't know about you, but when I hear that, it's going to be music to my ears. I'm going to run outside, just like with that dream I had, where I was sitting there, and all of a sudden I could see this. That I don't drink water out of a clear glass, but on this dream I had a clear glass, and I could see, like in Jurassic Park, when that's actually what it looked like. When the Tyrannosaurus Rex was walking, boom, boom, you could see the water in the glass just shaking, and that's what I was in my dream. I was sitting there, and I looked over, and I could see the water just rippling, just in my glass, and I knew what was happening. I jumped up and ran outside, and when I run out my back door, I would fall in a pool if I ran back there. But in this dream, I ran outside, and I was in some kind of a courtyard, and the grass was just so green. I don't recall dreaming in color before, but the grass was so thick and so green, and you could smell it. It was amazing. And I kneeled down in it, and I told everybody that was there, this is it. It's finally here. So it was an amazing dream, and I'll never forget it. It was wild, and so that's what we'll look for. Go to a quiet place by yourself. Nobody needs to know, and you don't need to tell anybody. I quote that from Matthew 6:5 and 6. You can go read that for yourself. You don't do this publicly for pride or for any other reason. You do this privately between you and your Creator who made you. And every single heartbeat, he makes it happen. That's why I didn't die 5 years ago, because he had other plans. He slowed me way down. He slowed me way down. And I'm very happy that he did. He knew that from before I was born. He'd have that birth defect, slow me down to do all this that I'm doing. Does it mean I'm right? No, that's not what that means. What it means is that I'm a watcher, and I'm warning you, like Ezekiel says that I'm warning you. Am I right? I don't know. But I know one thing for sure, that we are all watching, and we're watching together, and we're trying to figure this out together. And please go subscribe to those channels that I mentioned. And just keep watching. That again, 2023. All of those that I mentioned I haven't done that. I know about the 210 lost years, but that's the extent of my research. Mine is more of a day-to-day thing on a yearly timeline, and theirs is they've walked it all the way back from creation. You saw Dr. Barry, 6006. He knows when it started, and that has to be. And we got the two Jubilees run simultaneously, and we come up to now, and that's why one Jubilee ends now. It ends now, and then 7 years the other one ends. They're running consecutively, side by side. So if Noah sinned on Halloween, what we know of today is Halloween on the Gregorian calendar. If he sinned, and yet they didn't remove him from the garden, that's the second month and 17th day, and they didn't remove him from the garden. Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, that's what I'm talking about. They didn't remove him from the garden until the first day of the fourth month. That is, I don't know, that's 2 months and 13 days. Was that 70, probably the same time. Honestly, it's probably 75 days. I haven't done the math on it, but it's probably the same. That 75 that keeps popping up. This calendar is off by 75 days on purpose. God had his hand in it, and that's the promise to Abraham. And so I'm not saying we're going to go 75 days after the head of the year, because it's already 75 days from the head of our year, January 1st, to today. Today is the 75th day. So, not saying that, but I'm saying that there is a buffer in there, and I think God did it for legal reasons. The buffer's in there. We have a 6-month and 1-day buffer in there, and so we just keep watching. Keep watching. Don't get downhearted. It's going to happen. And it's going to happen so fast. It's going to happen so fast. Man, I hope God calms my heart down, because I know I have a heart attack when I get to heaven. I'm going to be like, ugh. And he's going to be like, calm down. You know, when Jesus approaches you, he's going to be like your best friend. Think about that one person that you just connect with. Like, you know what each other are thinking. And that's how this first visit from Jesus is going to be. It's going to be a connect that you're just going to be like, what have I been missing out on this whole time? You know, and it's going to be, you're going to be returning to where you belong. So we're going to be there soon. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. And I'll be back. I don't want to be back. I want this to be my last video. I want this to be it. But I'll be back probably in a couple of days, unless something pops up. But I want to come back on here just before March 20th. That's 3 days away. It is just before March 20th. So maybe just after that, I don't know. If we're still here, we got that meal. We're supposed to have that meal in heaven. So we've got that meal happening on March the 24th. So I'll come back on here, and we'll just keep going forward from here on the timeline to see where we land. And again, you know, I don't know. Could happen any second. That's what we're all waiting for. So, Repo Man 64. I said everything already. Go to a quiet place. I think I said that already, didn't I? Yeah, I did, because I quoted Matthew 6, 5, and 6. And you know, if you find any YouTube channels that are just completely, like, I like the small ones too, because you know, I've promoted them as well, and because there's so much fruit there that we can draw from and promote them and get their channels built up. Somebody's going to make it through this tribulation, through this rapture event and into the tribulation. Some of us are going to make it. So it's very important that the content that we have is also for the saints, because God loves the saints. They are Rachel. They are the thief on the cross. They are very important. We are not the most important group. We are the first group. But this group that's coming is also very important to God. And it's a group so great that no man can count. And it's going to happen in the sixth seal. But we are there. Like I said before, the 24 elders do not represent every tribe and every nation, just like the Bible says in Revelation. I might go through that on the next one again. Those 24 cannot and do not represent. If they are Old Testament, and the 24 are there, don't get me wrong, but we are also there to witness all of this. We are the sea of glass. We are from every tribe and every nation and every tongue. We're from everywhere around the planet. And those 24 just cannot encompass that. And that's why. And it gives a number how many we are. We're 10,000 times 10,000s and thousands among thousands. And then in Seal 6, it gives a completely different group also from every tribe and every nation and every kindred around the world. And this is a number. They get palm branches and they have washed their robes white. They will have gone through tribulation. But this is a number so great that no man can count, and they are very important to me and to God, honestly, to God first, of course, but then me, that they understand that what's about to happen, or what has happened, and that just like Elisha, when he sees Elijah go, he tears off the world and puts on the mantle of God, and that group of people is very super important, and that what we leave behind for them to not accept the mark and to stay strong, because they're going to go through it. They're going to go through it. But they will see it happen. They'll get a double portion, so they'll be okay. All right, anyway, I'll keep talking all day long. Repo Man 64, chat with you later, and I'll be back. That was my best Arnold impersonation, and it was bad.